So the big question is this: how do investors like us who don't have a PhD in finance or millions to start investing, how do we grow our bank accounts to build real savings in retirements and yet still have the time to do what we really love? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
Awesome. Hey guys, welcome to the Stock Market Secrets Podcast. This is John Newton, and today I am so very excited to talk to you about the ability to say no and the prioritization of your professional and personal work, because it's so ridiculously important. And especially once you start to really get to that very edge where you can taste, you can see that gold, that prize, that cash, that reward is right over that hill. It's so close. You put up all this work, you've gone through it, you've been through the steps, you've gone through the processes, you've invested in yourself, you've invested in education, you've done everything right, you've done everything they say to do. And now you get to this point where you're so ridiculously close, and you know, if you can get the work in, you can get the results out in the marketplace, you can take the action, you're going to have this insane, ridiculous, it's just so valuable, the output you're going to have, the impact you'll have, and the sphere of influence you'll gain alongside the capital gains. It's amazing. So with that said, today I faced a pretty difficult situation. So to give you a little background, this morning I was finishing up some amazing sales training I'm taking right now from Grant Cardone, and I'm super excited about it. And I might even share with you guys. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm thinking a whole lot about how I'm gonna distribute 9 to noon, and I got some big surprises for you guys. You guys are gonna be super excited. I'm very excited to share them. So anyway, I'm going through this training pretty much every single day for the past couple days, probably the last week, and it's very long, very intensive. But the deal with it is you got to pay a monthly charge to have access to it. So right now I'm a little tight. I'm working really hard and trying to get everything I can out of all I've got, just because it's tough. And you gotta make it work. When you're in a place of pressure, when you're in a place where there's no option but to succeed, that's where I'm going right now, going super hard to have this growth and development. So because of that, I'm working really hard to get through this training before I get rebuild. And I'm taking a whole bajillion notes so that I can refer to them. I remember I had the last quarter of my my current journal open for notes, and I've just filled up basically the entire thing in the last week. I've got a half a page to go before the thing's full, and I have to move on to the next one, which is totally a good thing. That's absolutely amazing. The one thing I cannot recommend enough, if you're taking any kind of course, you're reading any kind of book, take notes. You remember what you write down. So ridiculously better, so ridiculously much more than things you just see or just hear or just read. But hearing's really big too. If you can get an audiobook, audiobooks are ridiculously great, especially when you're reading alongside the text, because it just really helps get the information in your head with more than one sense, which is ridiculously powerful. But anyway, I'm going through this training. I'm going super hard. I mean, you guys know me. At least right now, I'm going probably 16 hours a day, every day, because I'm going to make it happen. It's gonna work. I know it, and I care so much about it because I want to get this message out to so many people. And also, I really like to trade stocks. So I'll finish up about 4 or 5 hours this morning, and then I get on a conference with some clients, and we go through a lot of their things. We work out some affiliate marketing deals, which is awesome, super exciting stuff. Then I go on there's the call with one of the sales agencies I work with, and we break down some of the top key, selling points, and just believing. You have to be completely sold on what you sell, right? So if I'm trying to sell, if I am selling, these awesome online marketing platforms and all the amazing things that they do, the results that they have, I have to be 100,000% sold on them myself. It's the only way I'll ever promote anything, right? Is if I personally own it, use it every single day, and am just so indicted in it. It's like, dude, you have to have this, because I know from experience that it's worth so ridiculously much more than the measly price that's attached to it. And that's a really, really, really big principle behind getting what you believe in out to the world. You have to be 100,000% sold to it, on it yourself. And you got to always continue to resell yourself on it. So that was kind of the point of that, which is super, super cool, because it matters a lot in spreading 9 to noon and getting stock market secrets out there just for you guys. Because it's not easy, but you make it happen. And when you make it happen, that's when you start to have results. I know you guys probably heard the other day, I had that guy call me from India. He said he was so grateful for all the stock lectures I'd given him and the financial education. And like, that's so ridiculously powerful, because I'm working for Americans mostly. And to see that global reach is so inspiring. And it shows that, like, because, long-term goals, right, with everything I do is 100% to get that global influence. Right now, it's just so difficult for a lot of people to get into financial markets if they're not in the US, which sucks. It really sucks. And that's why I work so hard to invest in myself and in my future to, at one point in time in the future, finally be able to facilitate decentralized asset management to create real savings and retirements for masses of people. And I know that might kind of sound boring, and of course it sounds boring, but hey, look, you guys just got to trust me. I got you. I'm so excited for it, but that's a big long-term goal, right? And it's always important to have big long-term goals, but you have to understand the sphere of influence and the relativity, and use it as fuel in the present, because nothing is going to trump, the action taken in the present. And I'll tell you what, I was having a really, really hard morning because, one of the things I use, like email marketing, right? Marketing is one of the best ways to, get your message out there and to influence people. So I work super hard in that space because I know that, like, the stuff I'm sharing is so crazy. It will change people's lives, and that's why that I just care so much about what we do, and I'll put in 100% on that stuff. And it's tough because you get a lot of people and they just not a fan, say, get me off this list, don't email me. And it sucks because it's like because everyone opts in, right? And you drive traffic, and it's all just a whole bunch of work with online marketing, get messages out there. And it sucks because you have this kickback, and this kickback, it really hurts your psychology and your growth. And at the same time, you got to overcome it, and you have to say, look, I get it, but I know that what I'm doing, I know what I'm selling is worth, it's just insane. It will change your life. And you have to be so crazily convinced in what you're doing that there's no option whatsoever but to continue going ridiculously hard with what you do and to get your message to as many people who will listen. Because if any message is a good message, then it's just got to be polarizing. And that's why I'm constantly going against, big financial institutions, huge Wall Street firms, and all these traditional ways of saving and investing where, everyone knows about the stock market, right? And everyone's like, oh, the stock market's so cool. You make so much money trading stocks. And like, to an extent, that's true, but also a lot of people lose money trading stocks. And the reason they do is because they don't understand the two magical words that changed my life. Those two words are technical analysis. Technical analysis is really the key to open up the stock market door, to turn it from a game or whatever, or just some risky place where you're gambling, into a very systematic and predictable machine that you can play every single day and create consistent profits in, build real savings and retirements, and create the portfolio you want to fund your future based on technical analysis of financial markets. And that's what I break down 9 to noon, the second part of the book. That's the entire premise of that, because it's sort of like, if you're playing chess, right? A lot of people, they'll get into the market and they'll think, oh, the stock market's so cool. And I remember this guy, he won the freaking lottery, right? He goes to Wall Street and he puts like all his money in one stock, and then he just lets it sit there for 6 months, and he like loses 3/4 of his money, half his money, something like that. And it's like, dude, you don't understand what you're doing. It's like starting a game of chess, but you've never played chess before, and you never learn what any of the pieces do, and you just kind of sit there and try to play like it's checkers, because it's a totally different game once you understand the rules. The rules in chess obviously being how the pieces move, but the rules in the market at a very common and very fundamental level, once you understand what like company you're investing in, it all comes down to technical analysis and creating the perfect risk reward ratios, the perfect setups, perfect technical indicators. These are the things that are really enable people to churn out consistent profits, have consistent growth that outperforms all possible index funds, indices, whatever, right? Because what they do is they use this technical analysis to take what's usually the stock market and what's usually a stock market return, which is, percentage here, percentage there, and like put it on steroids, tax it, and now they're able to produce the average return in a month, in a week, in a day. They're not average. That's the point of technical analysis, is it takes you and it lets you separate yourself from the vast majority of individuals investing in the stock market, of financial analysts investing in the stock market, of financial advisors investing in the stock market. You can separate yourself by learning this very specialized and applicable skill set that's going to radically improve the profitability of your investing and skyrocket the returns that you get per risk unit, per cash invested, for all these factors that most people are looking at in the market. And most people say, oh, okay, well, I watched the news and it says that its Dow is down. Oh my God, I hear this all the time and I cannot get over it. It makes me livid. I hear these people and they're like, the Dow is down 400 points today. Whoa, what do you think about that? And I'm like, dude, what? Like what? So if you guys have been following me for any period of time, and points are just another way to say dollars, because people don't like to say dollars. I don't know why. I think the Dow's like 26 grand. Like, you guys know me, right? Percentage gains are like all that matter. It's all about percentage change, because that percentage change is how you can compare different investments to each other, right? Like if a stock is $10 and it goes up $400, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's huge. But if a stock or an index is $26,000 and it goes up $400, well, that doesn't really matter as much, now does it? Okay, because it's all about the percent change. And when you can measure the percent change, then it matters. So I'm like, dude, what do you mean? What's the percent change? And they're like, oh, it's like 1%. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Are you serious? 1%? There are stocks today that have gone up 40, 50, 60, 100, 200, 300%. And you're worried about a 1% move? Because it's so radically different. The 9 to noon stocks are ridiculous. It's an entirely different ballpark than traditional stocks. And at the same time, traditional stocks are terrible for technical analysis. I know. I trade a lot with some friends, and they trade Google and these huge stocks. And they're ridiculously unpredictable in the field of technical analysis because there's like a bajillion people trading them. And because of that, they have very, slow movements. They'll move 1 or 2% in a day, but they won't really follow traditional technical setups. The most they'll do is break through a VWAP on a daily chart, which is just an average price value that shows what the stock will likely bounce from. But they're just totally separated from this insane opportunity that's 100 times more profitable, 100 times more reliable, 100 times more sustainable for the long term. And that's 9 to noon trades. But people, they get freer. I feel like a lot of people they don't know about it. And that's totally, that makes sense, right? The education's not there for a whole bunch of people, and that sucks. But at the same time, there's also the people, sort of like when I was starting, where I was in a little bit of a state of disbelief until one day I was at home and was researching the stock market because I quit my job at Subway so I could go all in on stocks. That was all I wanted to do, was trade and trade and trade, and I loved it. And what happened is I was sitting there and I was going through, looking at stuff online, and I was looking up some information about about the VWAP, which, like I said earlier, is an amazing indicator. And then, I found this video, and it was this guy, and he said, "Here's how I made, I think it was like $200-300 or something in one day, trading 2 stocks, in an account that had an initial balance of like $200-300. So basically, he like doubled his money in one day. Now, I want you just to think about that for a minute, because when I saw that, I thought, okay, I've got about $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in the bank. If I could double that, well, then that would be $10,000, and that's freaking awesome for me at the time, right? That was before I went out and lost 100 grand, and those were some huge numbers. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. That's insane. How can I do that? So I watched this guy's video, and I see he's trading. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but now that I've put in the research, I've put in the time, years and years of experience. What he was trading was a 9 to noon pre-market gainer, and a 9 to noon pre-market gainer is a stock that's between about 20 cents to $25. And what happens is, before the market opens, or during the very early hours of the market, from about 9 to noon, the stocks will go up 5 to 10 plus percentage points. And usually you'll have ones that go up way higher than that, 40, 50, 100, 200%. It just varies day to day. And after they have these huge run-ups, like the one that this guy traded, what you can do is you can use technical analysis and some very, very strong, very reliable technical analysis factors that you can use. That this guy used was VWAP, which I talk about in chapter 23. I also talk about it on my YouTube channel. You can check it out totally for free. John Wooten on YouTube. I have stock lectures that I give out for free. You can get access to those instantly at www.johnfwooten4.com. And with VWAP and moving averages, right? So with VWAP and moving averages, this guy just traded the exponential breakouts, and after the breakouts, what would happen is it would break through, and it would form what was an ABCD setup. Now at the time, I really didn't know what an ABCD setup was. I was new, but I saw him trade this, and let's just say I remove all this technical stuff, right? Here's what happened, okay? I click his video, and on this video, this guy, he has this account, and he's just sitting in his chair in like his living room. I think he was on a chair, and behind him I could see his couch. So he was on like a laptop, right? He had one screen. No, he had 2 screens. He had 2 screens, and on one screen he had this scanner where he was looking for stocks, and on the other screen he had this one stock that he traded that day, and he showed the stock. And now, at the time, I'd been looking at like long-term investing, long-term analysis, long-term, fundamental factors behind the growth of a company, behind the growth of a stock, and those are all, quality, but slower long-term movements. So I would look at things like, what does the company do in the marketplace, and what products or services do they sell? Now, initially, I thought that was just how you pick the best stocks, right? I didn't know what technical analysis was. It didn't register in my head. So I see this guy pull up the stock, and he says he found it on this thing called a screener. And I was like, dude, what is a screener? And now, I know, and it's what I just told you guys about, right? Where you look for stocks in a very, very specific set of circumstances, and you use those as a way to predict which ones are going to move the most. So what he did was he run this very, very simple screener, and he found this one stock that was at the top of the screener, had the highest gain that day. It was the biggest run up, biggest mover. And he found that stock, he pulled it up, and then he traded this thing. The stock price went down at the beginning of the day at about 9:30 when the market opens. But after it went down, it came back up, and it went through this red line he had on his chart, which was the VWAP. And he says right after it went through that red line, he bought it almost instantly. And I was like, whoa, how do you know how to do that, right? I didn't know what technical now. I didn't know what any of this stuff was. And he buys it. And then he says, okay. And then he waited like 10 minutes. And what happened is that the stock just went straight up. And it just kept going up and up and up. And it went up 20%, 30% in a couple minutes. And then it kind of pulled back a little bit. It kind of chilled out. And then he says what he did was he waited until it kept going. And he waited about an hour. And after that time frame, it went up 60%. And just kept going up and up. And so he decided he was going to leave it till he doubled his money. And I'm like, what do you mean, dude? Double your money? Are you insane? I just read this article on Investopedia that said the average stock market return was 10%. You're telling me you're going to double your money in a day? What? But lo and behold, this guy with this very, very small $200, $300 account just sits down, chills out for like the next, 20, 30 minutes. And then I was already after like an hour. And then it was about 10:30, 11. It was about, 11. It sounds right. And then he says, okay, guys, well, my stock position, it just doubled. So I'm going to sell now and take my profits. And I was like, what? What? This guy has just done something insane. It like completely broke down everything I knew about the stock market and showed me the insane power of 9 to noon stocks. And what this guy, he said, look, all you have to do this stuff is learn about technical analysis. And I was like, what? What in the world? And he was using these indicators. And so I start researching these indicators and I started learning about them. And I couldn't really find a course on them. I didn't know anything anywhere where I could like get them all at once. So I would just look one up and I would keep researching it until I found a website that referenced it. And then at the bottom, they also referenced a new technical indicator. So then I would go and research that technical indicator. And I kept researching and researching these technical indicators. And I would go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And all I would do is go through the process over and over and over until I had a repertoire of about 50 of them. And that took a long time. It took a really long time. And the only thing that got me through that was thinking, this guy, in one day, he doubled his portfolio. Like, imagine the insane compounding effects behind that. If you could double your portfolio and then double it again, and then double it again, and then double it again, how many doubles does it take to get to $1 million? That was my question at the time, and that was what I went really, really hard on. It's been a long time since then. But that spark has stayed with me for a very, very long time, and it will continue to stay with me. Because it finally showed me that it was possible to like consistently profit in stocks. Like I was thinking, because at the time my mom was like, Jack, you're really going to quit your job to trade stocks? And I was like, yeah, it's just my passion. This is what I'm going to do. I know it. I can feel it. And she was like, are you sure, man? Are you okay? And I saw that and I realized, if I could just double my money once a month in a position, even if it wasn't like my entire portfolio, even if it was just like $1,000, like that would be the same amount of money that I make at Subway in a year. In like a quarter. And so I decided, this is something I really need to learn about. So I kept going till I got to that 50 level. And then I started to realize which ones really worked and which ones didn't. And that's kind of how I, disciplined them down into 9 to noon and cut out all the ones that don't work. But when I started day trading, I finally had access to financial markets because school ended. And I was actually able to trade 9 to noon, which was amazing. It was the best time of my life. It will continue to be as soon as I'm finally able to get back into it, which is going to be amazing. It's so, so, so amazing. I love it. And I was trading it in the first 2 weeks of trading. I have more profits in my account than the entire first year of working at Subway. And I was like, dude, what? Are you serious? This guy who I saw not too long ago, months and months ago, he was trading these stocks and he was saying how he just doubled his portfolio and I did it too. I could feel this. And then it was like, whoa, dude. Because suddenly these financial markets, they didn't just turn into this way that some random people online were making, a bunch of money per day doing. It suddenly was this insane portal to a world where you could be your own boss, you could control your hours, you only had to work a couple hours a day, and at least with short-term trading, it was like there was no stress at the end of the night. I'd sell my positions, and that would be that. I would take my profits, and we would just move on. And it worked out so ridiculously well over time, and it was just this insane transformation. And It all started because I had this hope. I had this inspiration. I believed that the stock market was the vehicle. I believed in these two words, technical analysis, that have changed my life so much. And I know they can change the lives of so many others. And that's why I care so much about getting it out there, because this education, once you even start learning about it, is immediate changes. Your bank account, like, just starts to grow because you've manifested more wealth in your life thanks to an investment in your education. For me, it was time, but now I've gotten it down, and this impact it's had in my life is so insane. And that's kind of why I wrote 9 to Noon, is to share that with people, and to give people the ability to have this massive, shortcut in their education, so they don't have to go through the years of stuff that I went through, the research and all the hard stuff. That's why I wrote this book for you guys. And it's I don't know, like a year to write a book. It's really tough, but I saw it, and that trading, it showed me that there was this insane world out there, this insane thing called financial markets. I mean, I didn't know what financial markets were. Who the heck knew what financial markets were? It didn't matter. No one cared. No one cared until that one day where this random guy on the internet, doubled his account in a day. And that's kind of when I realized that most of what mainstream media says about the stock market, and most of what I'd heard about the stock market, about how it was this super risky, super crazy investment area where only really crazy people went. And to an extent, it's sort of true. If you don't know what you're doing, and then you go and you try to day trade an index fund. I know some people that actually they trade options on index funds, and they have some huge troubles because they're so difficult to trade. The overall market and the overall stock market, and the way most people invest in the stock market, is a really, really, at least not for long-term investing, right? Long-term investing, it's totally cool. It works for everybody, just because of the way long-term investments work. And I talk more about that in part 1 of the book. But for active trading and producing these surreal results that just outperform anything you could think of, that's when I realized that most people are just doing it the wrong way. And there's this insane world of technical analysis where you can, it's sort of like being a magician. I don't know. It's so strange to explain looking back, because, when I first understood it, what I realized was and my parents, right? They were like, Jack, you really need to stop, going, or John, whatever, right? You got to stop going through these courses and learning about all this stuff online, or, just researching it, and they were like, oh, you can't beat the market. No one beats the market. But then I realized, no one beats the market except for the people that understand technical analysis, and the ones who, the uber wealthy Americans that understand the 9 to Noon trading workday, and that are able to apply it every single day to create this very, very strange subclass of people who work 3 hours a day and produce incomes of, full-time careers. And it's just insane to see that in the power that the financial markets give individual investors. It's so ridiculous. And that's why, when I see people and they're like, oh, I don't have any assets, I don't have any investments. And it's and they say they don't have a lot of money. The top 1% are the top 1% because they own assets. And no matter how you look at it, their wealth is making them more money every single day because they own assets. And they have an insane amount of wealth. Sometimes it's because of businesses, sometimes because of jobs. But the thing that grows them to that really, really uber wealthy status, the one single change in their lives that they make to amass more wealth than most people will see in a lifetime, is compounding returns in asset markets. And with 9 to Noon trading, what you do is you take maybe a smaller amount of startup capital, but you're able to spread it and to use it so much more quickly than most investors, than 99% of the marketplace. Because what you can do is have percent returns, right? The 3 things you can have to increase your portfolio value are initial startup capital, and then obviously, monetary contributions, time, and percent return. And what 9 to Noon investing does is it takes your percent return and just add zeros on the end of it over and over and over. And that's how you have these ridiculous stories of millionaires made in the stock market all by themselves, because they understand this very, very selective and misunderstood and misrepresented niche of investing. And they trade 9 to noon. They do it so well because they understand, they've invested in their education, and they use that as a stepping stone to their success. Hope you guys have found this immeasurably valuable. Take this information, apply it, make a bunch of money on the internet. By on the internet, I mean financial markets, whatever venture that works out for you. You go out there, you go 100% in it, you go absolutely crush it. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing day.
Want more stock market secrets? If so, go get your free copy of my best-selling book, 9 to Noon. You can get your free copy plus $11,176 of unannounced bonuses it took me years to uncover, completely for free at 9tonoonsecrets.com. Inside 9 to Noon, you'll find the top 38 secrets you can use to double your portfolio every 2 years and make upwards of 10% per trade daily.